G'day and welcome to Melbourne Airport with a local time. It's 3:08. Why am I here at such a stupid time? So I'm about to fulfill a bucket list item and fly Emirates first class on their A380. Let's go.
Now this flight usually sells for over $11,000, but I definitely didn't pay that, so stick around until the end to find out what I paid. One of the downsides to flying into an airline's hub rather than out of it is that you miss out on some of the bigger perks, like dedicated airport drop-off zones and check-in areas, as well as security and immigration. Emirates do still offer a chauffeur service for anyone flying business class or first class within a certain mileage radius, except for anyone who booked via Qantas or with Qantas points. In saying that, the Melbourne check-in area was completely empty and they had my bag away down the belt and towards security in minutes. To be exact, 23 minutes from curb to lounge, including filming my silly little intro video. Speaking of the lounge, flying first class out of Melbourne gives you access to the Emirates lounge, which is not down in the lounge basement with the others, but on the second level across from the house. The beauty of this is that our gate for today's flight was right next to the exit of the lounge.
Good morning.
Thanks. The Emirates Lounge in Melbourne is a nice place to be, but do keep your expectations managed as it is a business class lounge, so no spa or massage tables in here. It does have a large buffet that was stocked with hot and cold breakfast items, as well as a large drinks area with free pour wine and spirits and a coffee machine. There is also a smaller service area at the front of the lounge with more drinks and coffee. There are large shower suites, but if you've ever watched an A380 first class video, you'll know why I chose to skip them this morning. Knowing the dining experience that was coming up, I decided just to have a small snack in the lounge of a pastry and a muffin, as well as a glass of Verve champagne. It did seem a bit rude that they parked our aircraft on the opposite side of the building and made me stare at a blank tarmac, but anyway. When I entered the lounge, I mentioned to the attendant that I'd like to be notified 5 or so minutes before boarding so I could be the first on the plane. And soon enough, I had a tap on the shoulder as I was falling asleep in the chair, and moments later, heading down the escalator and towards our plane, this 2016 built A380, registered A6-EUR.
Morning. How are you?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Once on board, I was shown to my seat 1A and left alone for a short second to take in my surroundings, as the crew set about serving my first glass of Dom Perignon champagne for the flight. First class on the Emirates A380s is located on the front of the upper deck with 14 suites in a 1-2-1 layout. Window seats are the best for solo travellers, with the middle seats having a centre partition that can be lowered if you're travelling with someone. Not long after I received the champagne, I was presented with my pyjamas and slippers for the flight, as well as the Bulgari branded amenities kit. After getting comfortable, the Arabic coffee and dates were offered, which I will always accept.
Thank you very much.
And now for a quick tour around the seat before we take off. On your right armrest, there are 3 buttons for preset seating positions and the door operation button. Under the armrest is this weird little storage bit and the emergency life jacket. And under your left arm is the in-flight entertainment controller. Just above that is a storage compartment that is really hard to open when the seat is upright, as well as storage for your bedding. Next to that is the main suite controller, which is removable and controls everything in the suite from the seating adjustments to the lighting and the in-flight entertainment. Below that are the window shade controls, cool bell, tablet release button, and lighting controls, and the first of the 2 air vents. Above your right shoulder is the second air vent and a reading lamp. Along the counter is the pop-up bar with some drinks and snacks, with a huge tray table popping up and folding down next to that. There are no overhead storage bins, so your cabin baggage goes under the desk with straps to hold it in place if necessary. There is also a USB and a HDMI port down here. The right-hand side holds the in-flight magazine and the headphones. The bottom left edge of the desk has a universal power outlet and another USB charging point. Set into the desk is the vanity mirror and some more amenities. And the right-hand side drawer housing the supplied notepad and pen. The suite also has a basket of treats waiting for you with chocolates, mints, nuts, and even a small tube of hydration tablets, which is a nice touch. The provided Bulgari branded amenities kit is a nice big leather bag containing tissues, a hairbrush, a shaving kit, a dental kit, a cold towel, moisturiser, aftershave, lip balm, deodorant, and this huge bottle of perfume, which from what I can find retails for around 550 Australian dollars. The Bowers & Wilkins headphones were great, super comfortable, and the noise cancellation is really good, but it does have this constant weird high-pitched screech. Not noticeable when something loud is playing, but it is noticeable in quiet parts of films. The loose items on the bench were removed for takeoff, and I had a moment to gather my thoughts on the seat. 1A does have some downsides. Having only 2 windows where the suites behind have 3 is a bit of a bummer with the blank wall, and because of how deep the windows are, you can't actually see any of the wing or the engines, which is probably only an issue for nerds. The seat itself also isn't as huge as it seems in pictures. In the upright position, I'd say it's only as wide as a 737 business class seat. Not necessarily a bad thing, just an observation. Once cruising and you adjust your seat, you can fold the armrests all the way down flat though. The moment the seatbelt sign was turned off, the crew were at my door with the menu for today's flight, along with some olives, potato chips, warm nuts, and another glass of Dom P. Here is a view of the menu for today's flight. The entire service is a la carte, so you can eat whatever you want, whenever you want. To try and get into the time zone, even though it was just after 7 AM Melbourne time, I chose to have dinner, drinks, and dessert after takeoff, so I could head to the onboard bar for a nightcap, have a nice warm shower, and get into bed for as much sleep as I could get, waking up a few hours before landing in Dubai at around 1 PM local time. And it kind of worked. My table was promptly set just before my Arabic mezza was served, along with a bread basket and a ginger ale. Emirates does offer unlimited caviar in first class, which most people choose, but it's not really for me personally. For an entree, this would have been enough food to serve a small family. The flight attendant came to check on everything and was concerned that something was wrong with the meal, as I'd only had a small chunk of everything, but honestly, I had to stop myself, knowing there was still 2 courses to go and I was already pretty full. Before I knew it, the first plates were taken and the main course was in front of me. Today I went for the lamb makbous, which was perfectly tender and flavourful. It was definitely something different for me and I didn't regret it. Despite being stuffed already, I was persuaded into finishing with a dessert, going for the mocha tart with orange compote, and trust me, it was as good as it sounds. After cleaning up with a hot towel and sitting in a food-based euphoria for about 15 minutes after the meal, it was time to head down to the A380 bar at the rear of the upper deck. Passing through the 2 cabins of business class, I had a good look at the 1-2-1 configured seats, which look like a pretty good place to spend 14 hours if you can't be all the way at the front. The A380 bar is well stocked with beer, wine, and spirits, plus a list of cocktails. There is also a small tray of desserts and snacks available. 2 large bench seats along the sides provide a good view of the TV, which can even show live sports if you're dying to watch something. I ordered an old-fashioned with the Woodford Reserve that was perfectly made. and I couldn't resist getting behind the bar for a classic A380 bar photo and having a Polaroid snapped. If socialising at the back bar isn't for you, it's worth mentioning that the front of the first class cabin, at the top of the staircase, there is also another bar. Heading back to the front of the plane, the crew informed me that they had prepared the shower suite, so it was time to grab my pyjamas and amenities kit and head towards one of the only showers in the sky. Welcome to the Emirates A380 onboard shower spa, complete with all the amenities you could need, a hidden toilet under the bench, a shower with 5 minutes of running water, and even a heated floor. 5 minutes doesn't sound like much, but you are able to pause the water intermittently to put on your soap or whatever you need to do to then make the most of it. It is such a surreal feeling knowing you're 38,000 feet in the air, scrubbing yourself clean, and then you're able to step out onto a heated floor and have a shave in a full-size mirror and basin, put on your hydrating pajamas, apply every skincare product under the sun, and then brush your teeth to ensure you are perfectly ready for bed. Remember the bar at the top of the stairs? It had now been changed over to a lovely little spa area, complete with a pot of hot tea. Returning to my suite and hanging up my clothes in the closet and finding my bed in the sky made up with another hot towel, a small plate of freshly cut fruit and a glass of sparkling water waiting for me. Once I had hopped in, a cup of fresh ginger and lemon tea appeared and it was time to test out the bed. This is a truly lie flat bed, completely flat with no lumps or bumps, making it super soft. Because there were some empty suites, I ended up with an extra mattress topper and pillow to make it even softer. Footwell restriction? What footwell? Unlike a lot of business class seats, this was completely open and nothing around the shoulders to have you feeling cramped or unable to roll around. Between the bed and the super soft pajamas, this is truly one of the best beds in the sky. All that was left to do was close the doors and settle in for a long rest underneath the starry night sky. Waking up after a whopping 8 hours sleep, still having some 4 hours until landing, it was time for my morning coffee with a little extra something. Shortly after, a plate of freshly cut fruit and a warm bread basket with croissants was served, and then the reality of what eating on a plane sometimes looks like happened. The crew really wanted to change the whole table setting for me before they served mains, but it really wasn't a big deal. It was still pretty bumpy, so I expected it would probably happen again. For the main portion, I went for the French toast, which didn't look like much, but was so delicious. Still with another 3 hours until landing, I put on a movie, ordered some popcorn and some more of the beautiful lemon and ginger tea and sat back to enjoy the rest of the trip. The 32-inch screen is a fantastic resolution, but it does have a real problem with glare from lights around the cabin and from the windows if the shades aren't fully down. It is a touch screen, but the removable tablet beside you or the handset in the seat are far easier as it is quite some distance away. The crew let me know when there was about an hour and a half to go, so it was time to leap out of bed and sadly get changed out of the pajamas and get ready for our arrival into Dubai. The flight attendant came past with a small box of chocolates and a final glass of Dom P to wind up the flight, but after mentioning that I was only then starting to get hungry again after a big breakfast, she insisted that I have one last snack before we land, and I went with the beef sliders off the snack menu and a glass of the 2006 Pessac Leon, which is one of the best reds I have ever had. Receiving a meal like that within the last hour of a flight is incredible. We had quite a lengthy chat after that. I received lots of tips of things to do while I was in Dubai, and I just couldn't thank her enough for how great the flight was. I also couldn't resist buying a scale model A380 out of the in-flight magazine. This truly has been a bucket list item for a very long time, and I still can't believe I was able to do it. The over-the-top luxury, gold-plated suites, the incredible food, the shower, the crew, everything about this flight exceeded my expectations. Having only 3 passengers in the first cabin today, Zeb was my personal flight attendant for the entire flight and did such an amazing job at making me feel so important. There were a few small surprises. One is that the suite is not actually as big as it looks on camera. Not at all small, but not what I was imagining. Emirates do have Wi-Fi on board and boast free Wi-Fi for premium passengers that have their Skywards frequent flyer accounts linked. But because I booked with Qantas points and my Qantas frequent flyer number was linked, I couldn't access it, and the only option was to buy access, which I definitely didn't do. Not having an access code or something like that for first class passengers was a bit of a disappointment, but it did mean I had 14 hours phone free, which is always nice. The seat is getting a bit old and some of the high touch parts are starting to wear, but that's expected, especially since Emirates are about halfway through renovating their A380s, and this whole suite will be retired soon in exchange for their new Game Changer suite. Hear that, wallet? Another Emirates first class trip in the future. Now, I definitely didn't pay the $11,000 cash for this flight, so my wallet's really not that scared. I managed to book this flight with 170,000 Qantas points and 1,192 Australian dollars in taxes, which is really steep. But for 10% of the flight cost for a once-in-a-lifetime experience, working out to be 5.9 cents per point in value, I'd say it's worth it. Flying a connecting flight usually brings the taxes down quite a lot. There's my tip. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed the flight. If I've inspired you to chase your dream flight, let me know in the comments what that is. But until next time, see you at the pointy end.